When I first moved into this house, which wasn't too long ago, I would typically burn an incense stick and lay it over the edge of the sink. The ashes would drop into the sink and I would rinse it all off later. I kept up with this for the first few months, but the moment my woodshop was somewhat functional, I got straight to work on an incense holder. Hello, I am Clara Kim, and this is the first episode of my new commentary series. Yay! In this series, I'll be diving more into my thoughts and techniques behind the pieces I make. So, let's get into it. When I first started planning the design, the only thing in my mind was unique. Many wood incense holders simply have a hole drilled into it. But the thing is, I have two styles of incense. One has a stem and the other doesn't. If I only had stemmed ones, I wouldn't have had any issues. But because I also have these, where the entire stick burns, I really didn't like the idea of the wood nearby possibly burning. So that's when I thought of a metal ball. The idea was drill a hole into the ball so it can hold any kind of stick. But then the next question was, how is the ball going to interact with the rest of it? Should I simply drill a hole and stick the ball into it? Or what if I made water ripples? And that's how I came up with the overall design concept. I decided on walnut because I wanted to give it a luxurious and sleek look. And for the ball, I decided on these huge chrome balls because I thought it would be dope. But you'll see that I ended up not using it anyways, or I guess not being able to use it. There were two reasons for this. One, it was just stupidly big. And two, I couldn't drill into it at all. I tried multiple times, but it just kept breaking all the drill bits. Anyways, back to building. I first carved out a little spot for the ball to sit in with a coved router bit. Then, I drew some circles around it as a guide. When I looked up water ripples online, I noticed the ripples weren't all perfectly circular. So, I wanted that imperfection with the ripples here too. After drawing the circles, I used the same router bit as the concave earlier to route around the lines I drew. While routing, I also didn't make it a big deal to stay on the lines. I was kind of just letting the ripple formation become itself as naturally as possible. After the circles, I used a chisel to carve around the edges to create the shape, and then sanded them all off by hand. So, funny side note, I actually decided most of this design as I made it. The only thought I had going into this particular piece were metal ball and water ripples. When I got to this stage, I looked at the piece and thought, man, if I leave it like this, it'll be a little too chunky. So I decided to create chamfers on all four sides to reduce the bulk. Once I got that done, I started to notice that it was developing this slight Asian aesthetic. To reduce the bulk some more and to play into that look, I decided to create feet. They were very slightly inspired by the old wooden Japanese sandals, but the feet I created were thin and run the long way instead of thick and horizontally. To make them, I made a dado cut on the bottom, cut out two slats, and gave it a good old glue up. Once I got all that done, I gave all the corners a nice little sand, wiped it off with mineral spirit, and then finished it with some Osmo oil. After multiple tries of drilling into various metals and failing over and over again, annoying, I finally landed on brass. At one point, I thought about making it magnetic so that you can adjust the ball to whatever direction you want it, but Because brass is not magnetic, I decided to finish off this project by using epoxy to glue the ball onto the incense holder. And so there we have it. Right now, that incense holder sits on a ledge next to the kitchen sink, and I use it almost every day. In the future, I think I'll experiment more with trying to make a magnetic one, but for now, this one works great and I love it.